So Ryan Coogler was arrested for making a withdrawal at a bank. Um, Here's the thing, right? Just and this from a layman's point of view. You walk in to a bank with a mask on, as is the custom these days, and you slip a note to the teller of the amount of money you need withdrawn. 9 times out of 10, this is how a bank robbery starts usually. Yes, I'll give you that. All right. However, your man is not armed. He doesn't he's very calm and relaxed. It's not like a certain energy, that maybe I'm getting robbed or maybe I'm
Put
about
the
to rob.
money in the bag. Put the money in the bag.
Like there are no threats being made. It's just your man's telling them, hey, I need this amount of money and this type of cash. In which at that point, that's from the bank tellers that I, follow on Twitter, which is like all of like one or two. It's a whole, that becomes a whole process or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Now, there is a rant that I had saved because it was a lot that made sense. Now, my this girl I follow at Kyla_Lacey, she said, I worked in baking for 9 years and was a teller for 2. Not just a regular teller, but I was opening and closing teller, which is a bit more dangerous, including at Bank of America. As a teller, you're always on guard for robberies. It can happen at any time. And you are told that if you're being robbed, to actually just give them the money, not resist, as well as alert the silent alarm if safe to do so. This includes simple notes. Additionally, any cash transaction over 10 grand requires a CTR, cash transaction report. Clearly, that wasn't done in this case. You also have to verify funds, which is actually first, clearly not done here either. The note itself, understandably, could cause alarm. And while she was probably spooked, which does come with the job, she couldn't have made attempts at verification because if she did, she would have seen the amount in his account and continued forward. Someone asking for 12 grand in cash is highly unusual, especially in an increasingly electronic world. But in fact, it does happen, especially on depending on the area. As a former teller, I got people from all walks of life whom one would never expect to have a great deal of funds be loaded, so that really shouldn't have been a surprise to the teller. I hope this gives further insight. Now, the thing is, that's essentially the protocol, right? Now, a lot of those steps were misstepped, I guess you could say, because obviously that's not what happened. The cops were immediately called. And then that leads to that opens up a whole nother can of worms because, well, you know the situation between Black people and police. So Ryan Coogler could have gotten not only in serious trouble, he could have probably been harmed in all this misunderstanding. And even after the fact, Coogler is trying to explain his point, like his side of the story or whatever. And police is pretty much victim blaming him. It's like, all right, but you see why we, almost drew out weapons and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. It's like, yo, no, like there was a lot of wrongdoing going on here. And it was set off by a chain of events that began with what Ryan Coogler did. And that was just slip a note requesting a certain amount of money. And then everything just went completely left from there. Now, I'm not saying that Ryan Coogler is in the wrong, but I am saying that that bank must not, consistently, I guess you could say, get requests like that. Because again, we do live in an electronic world, but it does happen from time to time. And for a Black man to do such a thing, it shouldn't have been treated as such. Like if it were some old white dude, this would have gone down no problem, and it wouldn't have been a police situation. But alas, here we are. It all comes back to the perception of what is taught in this world, that Black has to do with some type of bad or evil, where white has a certain form of purity. And it's a subconscious thought. Like, you wouldn't think that your decisions are, if not based, influenced upon that. But in this culture, it is. And that's something that we should seriously take a look at within ourselves. Because I mean, not only white people, but Black people themselves can be aren't exempt from that. It's just literally culturally or socially how the shit goes. And that's something we should really all take a look into, as opposed to denying the fact that that's what it is. Because denying the fact that that's what it is just going to keep happening. If we nipped it in the bud and, ask ourselves, why do we think that? And finally, draw to a suitable conclusion and take steps towards actually fixing that. That's how we start changing things around here. But again, everybody want to play the blame game. And if anyone is to blame, if you run it all back, who is to blame. So there's no time at this point to be playing the blame game. It's time to start asking ourselves, why do we immediately jump to conclusions like that with certain types of people?
None of this matters because he put his card in there.
Yeah, I forgot that additional fact.
He put his card in, and it's
yeah.
Once you put his card in and you identify him, and then it comes up.
It's pretty goddamn simple.
I'm okay, this guy. Because you know what I'm saying? He confirmed it. And you know what I'm saying? He said he put his ID and his she didn't ask for it, but he showed it anyway. So it's
because he know how this goes. And it still worked against him. You know what I'm saying?
He probably needed that cash to start up a studio or something, or to put a down payment on something.
Regardless,
whatever. But
Twitter constantly asking questions or saying what he should have done, and he literally did what he should have done, and the police still showed up. So there's you can't hide behind that anymore. You can't hide behind what we should have done or what should have been done, because that's the end result. The police are still going to show up.
I did see a well-executed troll though when somebody's like, hold on, guys. Before we jump to conclusions, we got to see. He wrote where it clearly says, do not write. That's improper. I was like, you know what? I get that that's your trolling. I understand it. I think it's funny. Somebody's gonna be upset.
Because somebody either not gonna get the like irony of the trolling, or B, they're gonna be too tired for this shit. Because this shit is getting exhausting. It is. And you know, again, to be black in America is to be angry. You kind of have no choice. Because the society works against you. I was watching a motherfucking Bust Down, and Jack Knight brought this up, and it ended up winding up being a part of his ruse on Langston Kermit. But he said that there is a finish line, you know, for people's lives. And it feels like for black people, every time you get close to the finish line moves further ahead of you. And it's just constantly moving further ahead of you every time you get closer to it. And that shit resonated with me hard as fuck, because it's like, yeah, it does work like that, don't it? Like just when we think that we're getting to, you know, some type of conclusion or some, you know, finality in things where we can, you know, actually make some change for ourselves, it further goes, the finish line further goes ahead. And it sucks because people could claim that they want progress, but what exactly is being done to make progress other than being pandered to? And you get to a point where it's like, I don't want to be pandered to anymore. I want this actual progress. So it's like, at this point, the people that are in charge and able to make these progressional changes, they're playing in our faces. Let's call it what it is.
I think it's two sides to that. I believe what you're saying is true. Like, you know, when we get some progress in line moves. But I also think that it's like, the thing about progress is it's never finished. Like there's never no finite solution to progress, right? Like we've made progress. Like it's easy, like we could say we made progress since the 60s, right? Okay, like progress has happened. Granted, it ain't what we wanted all the way. And it may not never be what we want all the way. But you know what I'm saying? Like progress is happening. I don't think we should just dismiss all progress. I'm not saying that you are. I'm saying that a lot of people will come to that conclusion. But I will also say that it's like life, you know, you take one step forward, you get two steps back. Like even without outside the black community, like even what Chappelle was talking about with the transgender community. You know what I'm saying? He's taking one step forward, they're making them take two steps back because it's like sometimes people just not gonna agree with you. You know what I'm saying? And they gonna do what they do. It's biases. You know what I'm saying? That's just as long as that is around, and as long as there's somebody around that has held on to those biases are gonna be passed down. It's not until a person changes, you know what I'm saying, and somebody don't heed their words. Because you know, morals and things are generationally passed. You know what I'm saying? Like, except for like key things, like no one has to tell you right or wrong. But even if you know it's wrong, you still have the choice to be biased and do something that's wrong. You get what I'm saying? Like, I hope that's not confusing. Because it's like you just I don't know what I'm trying to say after that, but you know, it's a slippery slope, man. Like, and I think if we spend too much time trying to be on one side of the fence and not and on the other side of the fence and ignore the middle area, you're never going to get what we really want. Because that's what happens. People ignore the middle area trying to get what they want. But it's like the way to get what you want is to meet in the middle area. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing, though, right? The other side of the fence that you're speaking of is detrimental to our lives. So why do we want to look on the other side of the fence? But they could possibly get us fucking killed.
Listen,
I would want to.
That's anywhere you go, bro. Like you just, I don't know how to explain this without, you know, because like if I explain it anyway, right, the best way I can, 9 times out of 10, someone's going to take this and say I'm against black progression, right? Which is
They won't say it, but they'll say the quiet part out loud.
correct. So it's like at that point, because me, I'm a realist. Like I know that one side thinks differently, another side thinks differently as well. I want the sides to meet. I see aspects on both sides. Like I see valid points on both sides. What I'm trying to do is point out how each valid points, what the valid points you make on. Black people are trying to follow rules, right? Y'all are trying to quote unquote correctly or respectfully or whatever word you want to do, use cordially, whatever, enforce said rules. But you can't cordially enforce said rules without allowing said people who have not been enforced correctly to be a part of what you're trying to enforce or what you're trying to quote unquote provide. But the way you do that is to listen to their side. Like even in the police footage, when Coogler is explaining to them, he's like, yeah, I see your point, but do you see my point? And until you can see his point and be like, okay, I understand. Let's see where it went wrong at on both ends. And that way, if both ends say, okay, I messed up here, instead of having the note like this, I should have just came. I don't know how he did it because we don't have video with that. He could have just, he probably did this. He probably came with his ID, you know what I'm saying? Showed her this, and alerted her like, look, this is not a robbery, whatever. I don't know. I ain't there. I'm not trying to make excuses. You people out there that like to do those things, when people like me say stuff like this and try to say I'm one way. No, I'm trying to point out both errors so we can correct them and make them one cohesive unit. Because apparently that's what the country is supposed to be. One nation under God, right? That's your pledge of allegiance. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, right? That's our pledge, right? We ain't living that. So where can we fix it so we can live with the pledge? I see this way. I see these errors. The other side may see these errors. But if y'all not coming together with y'all errors and trying to correct them, that whole pledge thing that y'all trying to use and the Constitution thing that y'all trying to force, it ain't gonna work until you include everybody.
This is a godless country under the guise of God.
Yeah.
Always has been, and probably always will be. It's not. They claim one nation under God and like do things that aren't even close to Christ-like. So that's just it's all. It's
Such is all human nature, as you stated.
Like
it can be frustrating. But what I want to do, I want to encourage us as Black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? And you know me, I'm a God-fearing man, you know. And unfortunately, you know what I'm saying, this quote can be found in the Bible, but it's also true for life. Trials are going to come in the world. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think us as people, man, we just gotta like know that these trials coming, and like we've been doing for all this time, don't let it rattle us so much. You know what I'm saying? When it's time to speak out like we do, like I do so well in my Jay-Z voice, as I do so well. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, man, what you don't want to do, and I can't stress this enough, and I think we could probably close off this. What you don't want to do is become the very thing you swore to destroy. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi says to Anakin Skywalker or Mustafar right before he becomes Darth Vader. Don't become the very thing you swore to destroy, which is oppressive. You don't want to take what happens if we get what we want, then we start oppressing white people. Don't be the very thing you swore to destroy. Because then that'll make you no better than the previous predecessor.
I see a lot of Black people that legitimately want superiority instead of equality, and it's like, no, nigga, that you're doing this shit wrong. Like you're fucking doing this wrong. Like, no, we don't want superiority because we just become them. You dumbass. Like, what are you not understanding? Nobody is supposed to be superior to anybody. We all put our pants on one leg at a time.
What's that? What is that line? If you cut me, do I not bleed? Isn't that like for like a book? What book is that? I don't know.
I don't know, but however,
I've heard it.
your like seamless immersion between the Bible and Star Wars.
Oh, I told you I'm a Jedi. I do this, bro. How do you think I stay so peaceful? That's
handshake emoji.
anybody that knows me know I do that every day. Like, see, we don't talk deep spiritual stuff because you prefer me, and like I'll give it to you when I feel like I have to encourage you in that way, or whatever. But anybody that knows me that talks to me about that all the time, I do that seamlessly every day, bro. That's like me drinking water, or well, having something to drink because I don't drink nearly as much water as I should. But that's a conversation for another day. I'm not perfect, but I'm progressive. And I think at the end of the day, and this will be the last about this, because this ain't what we're here for. But my belief is Christ was on this earth to see people progress into the kingdom. He knew we couldn't be perfect. That's why he came. Because if he did, he wouldn't have had to set foot here. He wants us to progress. That's it. And progression is eternal. It don't end. Until that date on your tombstone.
Well, enough of that. Let's go ahead and get started.
Let's go ahead and get started.
Oh, up after that.